Hey, this is Chase Smith, founder and CEO of Press Play Podcast. You may have heard me on the Oranges Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast with Jeremy Powell, now wonderfully hosted by Holly Wetzel, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast with Sam Amico, or my own podcast, the Chase Smith Podcast. I wanted to take a few moments to talk to you about a brand new subscription-based podcast we're offering this football season, the Press Play Sports Podcast. This premium podcast feed will send all of the sports podcasts offered on the Press Play Podcast Network to one central feed. Yes, you can still follow and subscribe to all of our individual shows for free on every podcast platform. But if you wanted to consolidate your podcast feed and listen to them all in one location, the Press Play Sports Podcast is for you. I'm talking the Oranges and Oranger Browns podcast with Holly Wetzel and Jeremy Powell, Red Guy and Rhoda, Sable Brothers on the Baseline, Cavs on the Break, the Dennis Maniloff Show, the Ball Card Show, the Premium Fantasy Podcast, a Swing and a Tribe MLB podcast, and the Tim and Shipe Show, a college football podcast, all in one feed. All 9 of our sports shows curated into one single podcast feed. Out the door, you're looking at $5.36 a month after tax. That's $5.36, just about the cost of a drink at Starbucks. And this is only offered on Apple Podcasts. You can't get this anywhere else. It's an Apple Podcast exclusive. Just go to the search bar and search Press Play Sports. It'll come up and you can subscribe from there. We're excited to offer this consolidated, curated sports feed for you to enjoy. And as always, thank you so much for listening and your support.
Part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Could be up to the offensive line. No, Prince's going to throw for it. Got to get it off. They go for the ball game. Touchdown! Touchdown! Michael Jenkins! Holy Buckeye! Tebow straight ahead into the end zone, and the Gators have put this one on ice.
Hello, and welcome to the Tim and Shipe Show. This is a college football podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We're part of the Press Play Podcast Network, and Tim and I are going to be talking college football as much as we can for as long as we can. Everything college football about this crazy week that we just had. We can't wait to get into it. And so without further ado, Tim Jones, how you living, brother?
Another busy week, man. A lot going on. A lot more to talk about this week. And we're only halfway there through the season so far.
Yeah, and Ohio State has a bye week right at the right time, midway point, and then we kick things off against Indiana. I think it's like a 7:30 game on ABC. Can't wait for that, but Ohio State has the bye week after their butt whooping of Maryland this past weekend.
Yeah, Ohio State looked really good this weekend.
Yes, they did.
Florida also looked good, but in a different way against a bad SEC opponent. But yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs going on this week, so we have so much to cover in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, a lot of ups and downs, and a lot that I want to get into on our overreaction. So without further ado, let's get to our recap of last week. Ohio State. This is our weekend rewind. Ohio State looked really, really good, like you said. It was really over after like the first 3 drives for Ohio State, and from there they were able to just pretty much do whatever they want, command the game. And it looked really, really good because there's only a 20-point spread. And the fact that we won by like almost 50 just looks really, really good for us.
Yeah. I think this shows Maryland also is not a very good team, but Ohio State is definitely peaking at this point in the season. I think their schedule, the strength of their schedule really comes in after this week, the next several weeks. But this is a good test, so it definitely counts.
Yeah, it was. It was one where if you only won by 21, you still look at that as being a good win. You know, if you only cover, but we did much more than that. CJ Stroud, it's the second time that a quarterback has thrown for 4 touchdowns in back-to-back games. He threw for 5, but this is the first time that he's done it without any interceptions. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. And back-to-back 4 touchdowns and interceptions back-to-back week. It was he just looks dominant, and he's just climbing the Heisman watch list at this point. I hear a lot of people still saying that it's Bryce Young's to lose even after they lost to Texas A&M, which we can get into later. But I think CJ Stroud is getting some people's attention.
Yeah, I think this just justifies the theory that he was obviously hurt a few weeks ago, and he's recovered and he's playing much better now than he was early in the season.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Is it like something that he got his brain right during that time off, where he got his mind is focused, or he got some kind of monkey off his back? But yeah, he's definitely turned a corner ever since he got that week off of the Akron game. He's really turned things up and, just shown everyone why he's QB1 at Ohio State.
Yeah. What other players did you see in this game who just really stood out for you outside of Stroud?
Outside of Stroud, well, I mean, our wide receivers are the best in the country, but I mean, Travion Henderson continues to show that explosiveness off the ball. And I really am coming around to our defense as a whole. And just the defensive backs are just in better coverage. And probably the most surprising thing is the new defensive scheme. And, I can't think of the guy's name who's calling the plays now on defense. I tried to look it up real quick. Anyway, whoever that guy is, I'll find it here in a second and tell you. But whoever that guy is really impressing a lot of people.
All right. Well, I mean,
I'll
be honest. I didn't watch a whole lot of this game. I was really busy watching Florida against Vanderbilt at the exact same time. I don't know why you keep putting Ohio State and Florida at the same time this year. So I was more focused on that game than this game.
Matt Barnes, by the way. Sorry, folks. Matt Barnes.
Oh, yeah, the basketball player.
Ha, 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 ha. I don't even know who Matt Barnes, the basketball player, is.
But I know tattooed guy? No?
Nah. I know who Matt Barnes is, the defensive play caller for Ohio State, probably the defensive coordinator next year. I don't know what happens with Kerry, but he's up in the box and no longer calling plays. I doubt he's with the program next year, but we'll see.
Yeah, clearly he's been demasculated from his role. His priority is not very high. Yeah,
but Haskell Garrett went out with an injury that is troublesome. You ask anybody on the defense, he's the motor. He's the guy that everyone takes their cues from on defense. He's out with an injury. Hopefully, we haven't got any type of report yet, but hopefully this week off, the players can get their bodies right.
All right. So what do you look forward to other than obviously resting? Like, do you expect there to be more changes going into the Indiana game with the extra week to prepare?
No, honestly, I don't think they're even going to – obviously they're going to watch film and do all those things, but I think it's going to be easy practices just to make sure players are in rhythm, to make – there's not going to be any padded practices, things like that during the off week, I don't imagine. So I don't expect any new wrinkles, anything like that. Ohio State's going to spread you out, and they're going to score a lot of points. Number one scoring offense in the country right now. So, yeah, in Indiana, not great this year. So I don't expect anything different.
There's not a whole lot to talk about with this team right now, right? Like it's they more than did to Maryland what they expected. Second week in a row, third week in a row, where they dominated the opponent that they were expected to, and now you get a week off. So what are you gonna do this weekend? Are you just gonna
taking the kids to the pumpkin patch, man? Going to do some pumpkin patches and some pumpkin carvings to get ready for Halloween. It's gonna be
watch some Florida LSU at noon, right?
Sure, I'll record it and then see. If it's a good game, I'll watch it after the fact.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Tim Jones, tell me about the Gator Vanderbilt game. A nice little bounce back game for you guys.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, the thing is, so here's the thing. We were up 21-0 at the half. I have never seen a coach more angry at halftime, up 21-0 than Dan Mullen. Did you hear about his comments at halftime?
No, what did he say?
He said 3 words to the person trying to interview him. They asked him about his quarterback play because he was tearing into Emory Jones and Richardson as they're both of them. He's in between both of them, tearing them up as they're walking off the field. I mean, he was ticked. And I was like, you're finally angry. I'm so glad. I was so glad that he was finally angry. They were up 21-0, and you think they were down 21-0 the way he was tearing into them.
Yeah.
And this poor lady who's like trying to interview him, ask him questions. She's asking him about the first half. She asked about his message to his quarterbacks, and he just said, play better. That's all he said.
Play better. 2 words.
Play better. That's all I said to her. And then she asked about his defense not giving up any points. And then she said, how did he feel about that despite Vanderbilt giving up, or despite Vanderbilt having 50 snaps in the first half? And he said, awful. Ugh. And she clearly was very uncomfortable. She said, all right, coach, thank you. And he turned and walked away. And he said 3 words. That's all he said his entire interview at the half. And you could just tell he was angry. And he went in there, he lit into the team, and at halftime they came back out and they looked a lot better. And again, we've talked about this with them being a second half team, but the reality is this against a better opponent would have been a much different first half in this game. They missed 3 field goals in this game. Vanderbilt did. Their kicker missed 3 field goals, and late in the first half they had a chance to. They had a pass in the end zone. They called a touchdown at first. They reviewed it, called it incomplete, which was the right call, and they ended up not getting any points out of the possession. So that's why they were actually down 21-0. Vanderbilt actually played decent against Florida. Florida's defense stepped up when it mattered. Their kicker couldn't make any points, and so that's really what it came down to is they were playing a really bad team. And finally, I don't know where Mullen was last week when he didn't seem like he cared. He wasn't upset about it. He finally got fiery in this game. He got really ticked off. They came out in the second half and they absolutely dominated. They had no excuses. Florida has had a significant amount of injuries to key players in the last few weeks. And, I think Mullen expected guys to step up. They didn't step up the way he expected. He lit into them and they came back in the second half and they doubled down the score. And, at that point, they won 42-0 was the final. And the second half was a much better half than the first half. Emory Jones was okay. Richardson was not. Richardson did not play well in this game.
Really?
He did not. But he came out. He had one pass in the first half. He got hit as he threw it, and the defense intercepted it. And he didn't play again for a while. He came out the next play. I think the next series had a 3-and-out, and they didn't play him again until like the fourth quarter, basically. And after that, he just didn't have a good game. He did not have a good game. I think that gave Emory Jones some time. The pressure was off a little bit, but Emory Jones didn't play that well either, honestly. If we're being real, he was okay. Yeah. Again, he is a game manager. He is not a playmaker. That's what we are. I told you this last week. I mean, he is he's okay. He's not great. He's okay. We're playing LSU this weekend. We should beat LSU, but I think that we have to figure a lot of things out. I think we're going to have some guys back this week. The offensive line is banged up for sure. Our offensive line, who is one of the best in the country this year, they're struggling. Like they have a lot of injuries this week alone. I mean, it's just they've got to get healthy. I don't know. We'll see. But I think Richardson has to be mixed into the plays a lot more against LSU. And then we have the off week before Georgia. But right now, we're just going to focus in. We got to win this game. We can't afford to lose that LSU.
No, especially with the way LSU is losing. Coach O is coaching for his job every single week. And so you can't look bad against LSU, a team that's floundering, a team that just seems like they have no fight in them at all. I mean, they just got spanked by Kentucky. So, it was a 21-point victory for Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky's good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. We'll talk more about Kentucky as we go on here today because I have an overreaction about Kentucky. But so I just think Florida, like you said, they're a game manager. They want to nickel and dime you to death, and because they don't have a quarterback who can make the big plays, and so they have to sustain drives, and that's really hard to do against good teams. To sustain drives and not hit the big ones, it's hard to do. So we'll see.
Well, and it's tough because, this is actually Emory Jones' best game of his career at this point. He had 273 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he had a solid game, another 40 yards rushing. He had the 1 interception, but outside of that, he played well. But I don't trust him. I didn't feel good about him when we were down against Kentucky and he was driving. I really didn't have any faith that he was going to win that game. Yeah. And that's kind of where we are. I think Richardson, the Gainesville native, is a better talent. And eventually, as we go on through the season, I think eventually he'll end up being the starter.
You think he will?
I really
Midway,
do.
After the halfway point, usually you make those choices by now.
Well, I keep watching him. I keep watching the team. Like I said, Richardson did not play well this past weekend, but I keep seeing him as a player. I see Emory Jones, and people keep saying, well, he hasn't had a chance. He hasn't had the playing time. Give him a few weeks. We've given him 6 weeks now, and I don't see any significant changes in his ability. I think this is his ceiling. This is who Emory Jones is. Mm-hmm. Richardson has a much higher ceiling. So the pressure is going to continue to build, especially as we get into this Georgia game.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put a freshman into that situation. But also, like, Emory Jones doesn't have any more experience than Richardson does other than this season. So I expect that it's going to be a big controversy moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Camp Richardson. I didn't see how he played on Saturday, though. So, I mean, if maybe I saw, was he short, throwing picks over his head? What was so bad?
He just, I mean, his numbers were bad. He was 4 for 6 for 25 yards and interception.
Oof.
Yeah. So he didn't do anything. He ran for 11 yards. It just kind of looked like one argument that I have heard from some big time Gator fans is that he, in the past, early in the season, he had some games where he was doing things not because of his amazing ability, but because he too quickly decided to tuck and run or, change the play on his own and was lucky versus going with a game plan and, doing what he was supposed to do and making a play. So the criticism I've heard against him is that he doesn't wait long enough to make a decision, and he just goes with his talent, his natural talent that works in high school, but doesn't work in college. And so what I've been told is that that's what came out this past weekend is you saw what happens when a player doesn't get lucky and doesn't get an 80-yard rushing touchdown on that play. And instead he gets, stuffed for a 2-yard loss.
Right. Oh, okay, man. Lot of controversy in Florida and Gainesville. I don't know. You're giving me doubts about my Florida LSU pick this week. I might have to change things up a little bit.
Maybe that's my plan.
Maybe getting in my head. Oh, gosh. All right. Let's talk overreactions, Tim, unless you want any final thoughts on the Ohio State-Florida games of the past week. Ohio State did what they needed to do, and Florida to a
42-0.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do. I mean, if you're not an avid like me, like I didn't really watch the game. I saw the score and I was like, that's exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
So, I guess Florida did what they needed to do, even though kind of ugly at times. It's kind of how.
Yeah. No, and that's what Dan Mullen even saw. Is like it's good, but it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like if we play this way against LSU, it's probably 21-17 Florida, and LSU's in this game. And that's where. That's what Mullen finally stood up and said, we've got to be better. And he finally got emotional and angry. And I assume he really is working this team this week in practice and getting them prepared for this game. So I think that's where I hope to see a different team against LSU than we saw this week, especially in the first half. You just can't play this way in the first half and expect to win. You couldn't do it against Kentucky. You can't do it now against LSU.
Yep. So that sets us up. Talking about freshman quarterbacks stepping in. So let's have a mini celebration for me about how right I was about Spencer Rattler before the season ever started.
This is an overreaction?
Yeah, this is kind of an overreaction, but it's not, because I said he was bad. That was my overreaction in the beginning of the season, that he was bad, and it turns out he is bad, and he's probably taking his last snap at Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Actually, that's not an overreaction at all. He got benched. The only thing I saw that was confusing to me is why did they bring him in for the 2-point conversion in the second half?
I don't know. Because he may be the only one. He might have been the only quarterback to practice that 2-point conversion. The freshman quarterback. He's not probably getting the nitty gritty of all the ins and outs of the 2-point conversion plays. That was my thought. Is
he must have practiced this way more than this other guy, and then as soon as it's over, Rattler's back out, and this guy played great. Like,
oh my
Williams,
gosh.
I never heard of this guy before. Williams had a great game.
Yeah, they lose without him. They keep Spencer Rattler in the game, and they lose. Do you know why they lose?
Because Rattler's not a good quarterback.
Because Rattler's not a good quarterback. That's exactly right.
I agree with you last week, though. I was finally on that train with you last week. You were the first one on. I was ahead of the game. Now everyone's on board with that train.
Yeah, I said it to start the season. He was number one on people's Heisman watch list, and I said, this dude's not good. And look at me, looking like a genius this week.
Okay, but to be fair, Kennedy Brooks, the running back, had a monster game, 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has to get some credit, but Rattler does not win that game.
Right.
So you're absolutely right.
Spencer Rattler had a QBR of 11.3.
Yikes.
for the Texas game. 11.3, Tim.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's garbage. Caleb Williams had a 98.1 QBR, 16 to 25, 212 yards, 8.5 average, 2 touchdowns. I should get some kind of an award for this. I feel so smart today. Well, I felt super smart Saturday when they finally pulled him and made the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, 2 turnovers in this game. The interception and the fumble, that's killer plays for him, for Rattler. I mean, you can't do that kind of stuff in this kind of game. I thought this game was over early. Yeah. They were down early and they fought back with the change of the quarterback. Kudos to the team to say, we're not going to stick with this guy. Like we're gonna try something else, and it worked out.
Yeah, it's very much it's very much pulling for Tua Tagovailoa in the national championship, pulling out Jalen Hurts for Tua Tagovailoa in the national championship. Very similar of a coach being able to make the right move in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, when you're done 28-7, it's easy to say, well, don't panic. We're going to continue the game plan and go with it. All these cliches. But no, they said this obviously isn't working. I think the season has shown them a lot up to this point where it was like, all right, we've got to make a change now. And they did it. And, man, crazy.
My guess is that the players knew that Caleb Williams was better. And they could rally behind him, because these players, they see these 2 quarterbacks in practice. They know which one's a real leader. And my guess is the players knew that Caleb Williams was better. And when they put him in, they had like this motivational rally behind him. It seemed like players don't want to play for Spencer Rattler for one reason or another. He's not the leader. He's not a leader.
Yeah. Man, that was intense. So that's
my quasi overreaction. It's not a real overreaction. That's my comment of celebration to me. Yeah.
All right. Here's my overreaction. I really only have one real overreaction.
I got lots.
Here's my biggest one for this week. There are no good teams this year. Truly good teams this year. There are a lot of pretty good.
Georgia?
There are no elite teams this year. Even Georgia. Look at their quarterback situation.
Right.
Look at their quarterback situation. If things bounce against them, they're going to lose a game.
JT Daniels will be good.
No, he's not that good.
Once he gets
okay.
He's okay. Their defense is elite.
Their defense is great. But if
elite.
things don't go their way, then they're going to lose games this year. Maybe not till it matters. Maybe not till the playoff. But they are not in a situation where they are all around a good team. And by this point, I'm saying elite. There are no elite teams this year.
Yeah, elite. There are a lot of good teams. There are no elite teams. Is that what?
Yes, that's where I'm at. Yeah. There are a lot by a lot I mean maybe 5. There are 5 really good teams. There are 0 elite teams. This is a good year. Any team could win the national championship. I don't think there is a single team this year where you have to say it's them versus everybody else. It's been Alabama for so long, or Clemson.
It's not the case.
And I don't think we have that this year. I think we have a lot of teams who have a pretty good chance to win it this year.
In all reality, there will probably only be one returning team from last year's playoff to this year. And that hasn't been the case really since the playoffs started. There's been at least 2 or 3 returning teams from the previous year. This year, there will probably just be one.
Who do you think it'll be?
Ohio State.
Please. I knew you were going to do that. No, Oklahoma will get there because they don't play anybody.
No, Oklahoma's going to lose a game.
The Oklahoma State is the only team they have left in their schedule that's even competitive.
Yeah, they'll lose conference champion. They'll lose a game that they should win, kind of like an Alabama, Texas A&M. They'll lose a game that they should win because, like you said, with Georgia, the ball rolls the wrong way, they lose. That's the same thing with Oklahoma. Their defense is no good. Their offense, it looked good this last week in a comeback victory, but I don't think that's sustainable. So
the problem with your Ohio State argument, though, is you still have to play Penn State. You still play Michigan State. You play Michigan. And Purdue has played them hard once or twice. You play Nebraska.
And we have Iowa,
Indiana,
conference championship.
And you have Iowa in the conference championship. So there's
there's no guarantees.
Far from a guarantee.
But if we get through all of those, we'll be ranked 1 or 2, maybe 1. If you think Georgia's going to lose a couple games, we'll be ranked 1 or 2, and we have the offense. We have an offense that's similar to Alabama's last year, maybe better than what Alabama's offense was last year. Now that everything's clicking and things are moving, and these players have some confidence and rhythm. So, man, Ohio State's going to be there.
You tied yourself into this.
I didn't. I've been thinking it all week. It's part of my overreactions. That there's only going to be one returning team, and it's Ohio State. Overreaction number 2 for me. Alabama is maybe a top 15 team. Maybe. They should have 2 losses already.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
agree?
I don't know about top 15, but
Top 15. They're definitely not top 5 where they're ranked right now. They should have lost to Florida. I think they're lucky they don't have Kentucky on their schedule because they would lose to Kentucky. Alabama is maybe a top 15 team.
well, I think they're getting a lot of credit because they beat 3 then ranked teams already.
Mhm.
One of those being Florida at home in a tough environment. So they're getting credit for that.
They shouldn't have won that game. We were there.
I know. No,
were
I'm not
outplayed.
disagreeing with you. I
They
agree.
should not have won that game.
I agree with you. I'm just saying they get credit for being in a hostile environment and pulling out a victory there. They beat Miami when Miami was considered to be good. Obviously,
But they
we found
weren't.
out they're not at all. Ole Miss, they beat them and against a ranked team who won again this weekend. And then A&M, who early in the season was overhyped and somehow lost to A&M. I don't even know how they lost that game. So I think
not
that's
that good. They're not that good. Bryce Young is not he's a good quarterback, but he should not even be in the Heisman conversation anymore.
okay.
Like
Timeout.
Yeah.
Easy. What is our agreement on if you score how many points you can't blame?
I know 35.
Okay. They scored 38 points.
Okay, I'll give you that, but
369 and 3 touchdowns.
I don't think that Bryce Young is a top. I'd give him top 3. He should go to New York. I'll put it that way. But he's not the best quarterback.
He's not the reason they lost to A&M, though. They had almost 400 yards passing and 3 touchdowns.
He
against
didn't win
A&M.
it for him. He couldn't win it for him.
He scored 38 points.
Man, they blocked a field goal or a punt. Without that blocked punt, they don't score over the 35.
Well, I'm saying he had 369 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. He did. Not blocked kicks. I'm saying you can't really argue with those numbers. So those are really impressive numbers.
Yeah, he did fine.
Much significant, much more.
He had a couple
good
throws where he hit I don't know the wide receivers' names, but he hit that guy in the corner over the shoulder. If you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. That was a really good throw. He had some good throws. I don't know. And I'm not saying that CJ Stroud should win the Heisman either. This isn't me giving like my push for CJ Stroud to be a Heisman Trophy winner. I think
you just did.
No, I think CJ Stroud, he is a product of the wide receiver. He has the best wide receivers in the country. You can't tell me otherwise. His best wide receiving core in the country. It's really easy to look really good with the wide receivers we have. So I don't know.
I just want to remind you that it was 24-10 at halftime. Alabama was down.
I know they came back.
They came back, and it was tied 38.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to give Bryce Young. No, I'm not saying.
And I knew they would, Tim. When you because I didn't watch the first half. You texted me and said, "Look out, Alabama," or something along.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
And I sent you back. I was like, they'll come back. They'll be fine. Yeah. Like I didn't have any doubt because it's Texas A&M, Alabama. But when you started watching the game, you just started. Alabama's defense is not the defense that Alabama. It's not what they used to be. It's not who they're
not typically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alabama should be out of the top 15 because of their defense, and they should have 2 losses. That's my overreaction. Number 1.5.
I mean, they're good, but I agree their defense is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to what they've been in the past, and they're gonna have to score a lot of points to get to where they want to be. They would struggle against a team like Cincinnati or Iowa right now. Now, by the end of the season, do I think they'll improve? I do, because of their history and their coach and the things that they've been able to do in the past. But it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Yeah. If Alabama plays Iowa on Saturday, what would the score be?
If Alabama played Iowa, it would probably be like 17-14, very low scoring game.
something like that, 17-14. Because I was not gonna. It's almost like Iowa doesn't want to score more points than what they need to, and a lot of like when they
Exactly.
play big games, it's like we only need 17 to win, so let's just score 17. Like
Iowa is the same team
So-
they were in 1984.
yeah,
They are the exact same team. They play the same
Right.
way. They expect the same outcome.
yeah.
It's not fun to watch. I don't want to watch them in the playoff because they're not fun to watch. But their defense is
Their
really
defense
good.
is fun to watch, man. Their
No,
defense is
but they as a
so
team
good.
are
They
not fun to watch.
swarm, man. They knock down balls. Like they just play good fundamental defense. If you like good fundamental defense, then Iowa is the team to watch.
But they're not fun to watch.
So
Their
who
offense
wins?
is not fun to watch.
Who wins 17-14? Iowa?
No, I think Alabama
I
finds
think
a way to
Bama
win.
beats Iowa
Yeah,
17-14.
I do.
Nah.
Unfortunately, because of the coaching. I think coaching makes the difference in that game.
Kirk Ferentz, man, he's not a bad coach.
I didn't say bad coach, but he's not the best coach of all time.
Yeah, neither is Jimbo Fisher. He just put a whooping on Saban.
Please. You're talking about games that matter. This game, I mean,
I think
this is a freak. It's the
I
first
think
time.
Iowa wins. I think Iowa wins if they play Saturday. I think Iowa beats Alabama. I think Iowa is capable of scoring 21, and I think they give up 17. I like that 17 number.
You think Iowa's going to score 21 points against Alabama?
Yeah, Alabama's defense is not good. Texas A&M. If Iowa plays Texas A&M on Saturday, what's the score of that game?
Hold
Well,
on,
you don't
time
have to
out.
tell who wins.
Iowa scored 23 points against Penn State.
Penn State has the number 3 defense in the country.
Come on.
What do you mean? Come on, Penn State.
They give 70
good.
points to Villanova. They give 20 points to Auburn. They give 13 points to Ball State. Don't give me this. They're good.
Penn State is good. Penn State
17 points against Villanova. Villanova's not even a Division I school anymore.
Penn State has the 3rd best defense in the country.
Why?
Penn-
Because it shut out Indiana? This tells me Indiana's not good.
Yeah, Indiana's.
Penn
not
State
good.
would have beaten Iowa if they had a quarterback, I think, by the way.
Yeah, it's true. That's another overreaction. Is that?
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We can talk about it now. Sean Clifford isn't in that game. Iowa loses by 10, probably.
I think so too. Like,
Mhm.
I think Penn State had a chance. They had
Yeah.
momentum. They were doing well.
Yeah, and I mean, they gained. I feel like they gained only 10 yards once the backup quarterback came in.
Yes.
For Penn State,
But they had the
They
lead.
were
Lead up until that point.
Mhm. And they were punting out of their end zone almost because man, Iowa's punter player of the freaking game.
He's crazy.
Yeah, and so they were pinned back every drive. And if Iowa's starting from the 50 every time they get the ball, they have a good chance of scoring a touchdown. So
Very true.
with Sean Clifford in the game, Penn State wins by 10. Penn State is a good team, Tim.
I'm not saying they're not a good
Penn
team.
State.
I'm not saying they're not a good team. Do you think? Okay, who's better, Penn State or Alabama?
My heart wants to go Big Ten.
I
But-
know that.
The hard part is I don't think Alabama's as good as they used to be, but everything in my mind is telling me that Alabama wins. But I think that's I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, Tim, because I
Well-
don't think Alabama's as good as what they're not 5. They're out of the top 15. I think Penn State's a top 10 team, top 15 team.
Well, here's the problem with your hesitation. Your hesitation tells me you just said that Iowa would barely beat Alabama in a head-to-head matchup, where
Mhm.
you just
I know.
admitted that Penn State would have been Alabama if their quarterback is healthy, but now you're questioning if Alabama would or wouldn't beat would or would not be Penn State.
Yeah,
So that
that's
tells me
because
now you need to question your Alabama
Sure.
against Iowa.
Alabama loses against Iowa because they have bad defense. Alabama loses to Penn State because they have bad defense. Defense wins championships, Tim Jones.
Is that really where we're going with this?
It's
hard to say that.
But I don't know, Tim. It's such a hard back and
I know.
The Big Ten's better than the SEC this year, yes. But
So far, there's a lot of season to go.
there is. Halfway through the season, the Big Ten
They're all going to beat
is
up
the
on
best
each other,
conference.
and we'll see at the end of the season if we still feel that way.
Right. Yes.
Ranking wise, yes.
Halfway through the season, the Big Ten's better than the SEC.
Ranking wise,
And I think, yeah. Yeah. Georgia's still the best team. And my last overreaction is that if Kentucky is in the West, Kentucky's in the East, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if Kentucky was in the West, they would be in the conference championship against Georgia. That's my last reaction.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, they still get to play Georgia this coming weekend.
I know,
so
that's the thing. They
game.
played Georgia. If they didn't play Georgia and they played Alabama, flip those, Kentucky beats Alabama.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, see you feel that way after this weekend.
Well, let's talk real quick. So Kentucky, Georgia, 23.5 points for Georgia, right?
Right.
Is Georgia 23.5 points better than Florida?
We'll find out in a few weeks.
I know, but if you were putting out the spread this week on the Florida-Georgia line.
Right
Georgia
now?
line.
Let's see what
I did there? Accident. That was actually an accident.
Right now, I hate to say it, but I would say yes. Georgia is better than Florida by that much. Now, in a few weeks, I don't know if I feel that way.
Okay.
Right now, I do.
All right. Because Florida should have beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And
should have been Kentucky.
Yeah, should have been Kentucky. So I think the fact that Kentucky beat Florida Kentucky beat Florida. That tells me that Kentucky can beat Alabama. That's my rationale behind it.
That's an interesting take, but it's potential. I guess you can't say no, it's not possible. I don't know if 1 + 2 = square, but
what do you mean 1 + you can't see Tim, connect the dots, man. Kentucky,
I don't know that's connecting the dots.
Kentucky beat Florida. Florida should have beat Alabama. Kentucky would beat Alabama.
No, but that was hostile environment in Florida. You saw that game. Yes, Florida should have beaten Alabama, but then Florida went to Kentucky, not exactly a hostile environment, and just played terrible. Literally,
or is Kentucky just that good?
No, 8 false start penalties. That was 8 false start penalties. That's nothing to do with Kentucky.
I've watched that game though. Kentucky's defense looked really good, especially in the red zone.
No, that many false start penalties has nothing to do with Kentucky. That was Florida playing terrible. Florida played a terrible game. You can take as much, and I'm not trying to take away from Kentucky in the way they played, but Florida played a terrible game all the way around. If we played half as well as we played against Alabama, we win by 15 or more. I don't know why I said 15. It's a weird number, but we win by a lot.
All right.
I do have one more reaction, though.
Yeah.
I have one more. Notre Dame is not done. We're going to see Notre Dame again, and I hate it. Because the media wants Notre Dame to be relevant. They want Notre Dame to be in the conversation. And I happen to look up Notre Dame's schedule the rest of the way. A lot of people had predicted that Notre Dame would lose to Virginia Tech on the road this weekend. They won by a field goal. And that's when it hit me. This is a media thing. They want Notre Dame to be good. They still play USC, North Carolina, Navy, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Stanford. The best record of those opponents is 4-2. They're going to win out the rest of the way.
They'll lose to Stanford.
I hope you're right, but I don't think they will. They're going to end up winning out. They're going to have one loss, and people are going to say they're good. Seriously, they're peaking at the right time. Put them in the conversation. Put them in the playoff.
Yeah.
They bring in a lot of money, and it's going to be a problem. And I hate it, but that's my overreaction.
Yeah, I hope that you're wrong. I hope they lose to Stanford. Stanford has been kind of playing the spoiler role this year.
They really have.
So I see them losing to Stanford last game of the season. And that is actually a perfect segue into our Final Four, Tim. Who's in our top 4? Who's in midway through the season? We haven't been doing it all season. Now it's the perfect time. November 2nd is when the committee comes out with their picks, their top 25. And so, Tim, let's jump into ours. And I want to start off with your number 4 team. Who is 4th going into the midway point of the season?
So, to be honest, there are no surprises with my top 4. I think that
you just go with the AP. You just go with the AP.
And I didn't want to. I was looking at the rankings, and I was looking at the teams, and I was like, who would I change? And right now, I can't change anybody. I put Oklahoma number 4 just based alone on their schedule. Look at their schedule.
Doesn't matter. They're not a top 4 team.
They don't play anybody else. They're ranked 4 right now, and they don't play anyone else, and they're undefeated. So I put them at number 4.
All right. So here's how I'm doing mine. I'm not doing mine like yours. I'm not copping out. I'm picking the teams that I'm seeing right now play the best football. So the 4 teams playing the best football right now, not the top 4 teams based on the schedule, anything else. When you watch the games, these are the 4 teams that are playing the best right now. And if Penn State had won, which they should have, they would be number 2, but Iowa won, so they're number 2. I'm starting with my number 2 because my top 2 are like the AP. Georgia 1, Iowa 2.
This is so backwards. Like you said, start with the number 4. Then
I know, but I jumped to 2 because I had to justify the Iowa pick over Penn State when I said earlier that Penn State. You see what I did there? Because I said that I'm picking the teams that are playing the best right now, but I also said that Penn State should have beat Iowa. So I had to justify the Iowa pick at 2. Anyway, 4 Cincinnati for me.
Yeah, I put Cincinnati at 3.
Yeah, because you're just you just follow the news, just watch it, and just soak it all in.
What are you talking about? All my top 4 are undefeated teams.
All your top 4, what the AP, the Associated Press, the media are picking.
They're like they're the only high-ranking undefeated teams left.
You don't have to be undefeated to be playing good football right now, Tim. Point in.
You do, unless you're Ohio State playing garbage teams. These teams have actually proven themselves this year.
Oklahoma has not proven themselves.
They beat Texas. I'm not saying it's pretty,
they beat Texas. Texas is such a great team this year. They beat them.
They didn't lose a game. What did Ohio State do?
Get out of here.
What did Ohio State do? The only good team they played this year, what did they do? They lost. So don't give me that. How they play? You guys are playing well right now against garbage teams, but they didn't do it when it mattered. So why would I trust them in the playoff? Why would I put them in the top 4?
Just wait, man. Just wait till they play Penn State.
This is week 6. My top 4 right now, they haven't earned their way back in the top 4.
But they're playing better football than anyone else.
They're playing better football against garbage teams.
They're playing.
When they played a good team, they lost. Beat a good team. Beat a Penn State.
Well, seeing as you love the Associated Press, I bet you put
the Associated Press.
I bet you put Michigan around number 6. Right?
I don't even have that conversation. I don't care about Michigan.
7. Yeah, but you love the Associated Press and all their polls.
I don't love the Associated Press.
But they're undefeated, Tim. They're undefeated. They beat all the teams that they should have. They're undefeated. Yeah, I don't love Michigan either. And they and Ohio State waxed the floor with Maryland when Michigan did not. So
but did Michigan lose a game? Did Ohio State lose a game?
Obviously, the answer to those questions are yes, but they're irrelevant based on how you're winning, and how you're winning. I don't have anything.
How about we talk about the competition? Like, how did you play against the competition when it mattered?
The second game of the season, Ohio State never looks good. I don't want to say never, but in the history, we've talked. These are conversations in previous episodes. Speaking of that, folks, check out our previous episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and anywhere podcasts are found.
Anywhere,
check them out. Anyway, hey, hold on. This is a good time to take a quick break.
Hi, this is Maria Gincola with Mindful MMJ Ohio. Did you know that medical marijuana has been legal in Ohio since 2016? If you have one of 25 qualifying medical conditions, you can obtain your medical marijuana card today. The most common conditions are chronic pain, including migraines and back or joint pain, PTSD, fibromyalgia, spinal cord disease or injury, and cancer. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more or to find out if you qualify, visit mindfulmmjohio.com and fill out the short pre-qualification form. The process of finding a physician, filling out paperwork, obtaining medical records, and scheduling an appointment seems like it would be a daunting process for most. But, lucky for you, Mindful MMJ Ohio will help you every step of the way to make the process quick and easy. In most cases, we can approve a qualified patient within 24 hours. And the visit is virtual, so you don't even have to leave home. So what are you waiting for? Visit mindfulmmjohio.com today. That's mindfulmmjohio.com. Let us help you be more mindful of your health and find a natural way to find relief from your symptoms.
Hey, we're back. All right. Thanks for that ad. Whatever. So Cincinnati 4. If you haven't figured it out, Ohio State 3, because they're playing the best football right now.
Put Ohio State above Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You're joking, right?
If Ohio State plays Cincinnati right now, they win.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Cincinnati's defense is better than Ohio State's 10-1. They're not even close. Cincinnati's defense is way better than Ohio State.
False.
Not even close.
It's way close. It's actually
This is the most biased take I've ever seen.
Cincinnati 4, Ohio State 3, Iowa 2, Georgia 1.
Iowa
Top
2,
four.
Georgia 1. Ohio State does not deserve to be in the top 4 based on what they've done this year. That's ridiculous.
They deserve it more than Oklahoma.
They don't.
Yes, they do.
They don't.
Oklahoma. We'll see how they do. So here's the thing.
Right now, they don't. I'm not talking about 6 weeks from now. I'm talking about right now. They don't.
I could bash Oklahoma because I knew they had a bad quarterback. Now I don't know what to expect with their quarterback position. So they could be a good team that's just ready to get smoked by the number 1 team in the country if they get in at number 4.
And
Cincinnati needs Oklahoma to lose. Because if it comes down to it, Oklahoma undefeated versus Cincinnati undefeated, who's the committee going to pick?
I mean, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So
that's no question. But
if
the
Ohio
reality
State wins out, they're 1 or 2. Georgia wins out, they're 1 or 2. Probably 1. Ohio State 2.
Not probably, for sure.
Yeah. And then you'll have who will be 3?
The reality is, if Oklahoma wins out, Ohio State's not going to jump them.
If they beat the number 2 team in the country and the conference championship,
you're assuming Iowa's number 2.
Iowa will be if Iowa will win out the rest of the year.
It won't matter. If Oklahoma wins out, they beat Oklahoma State at the end of the season. Oklahoma State's a top 12 team right now.
No,
if Oklahoma State and Oklahoma play, Oklahoma beats them and then wins the conference championship, Ohio State's not going to jump them if they're undefeated.
I would love to see if Ohio State does go 3 and Cincinnati 4, that would be great. That would be great.
Does Ohio State play them?
Huh?
I thought you wanted to play them. You won't get to play them.
Oh yeah. 1 and 4, 2 and 3. Yeah. Ohio State needs to be 1. Yeah.
That's unlikely. If Georgia wins out, there's no chance.
Right. There's no chance.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like you said, though, the ball could roll the wrong way. Georgia's going down.
It could. I wouldn't be shocked.
All right. Let's segue. Let's move on to our final segment of the show, our picks against the spread. Tim Jones, our Pats of the week. Line them up for us.
All right. So catching us up on last week, we had several games
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
going on last week. Last week, you did well. You went 4 for 5 in our bets last week. We both picked Florida to cover -38 against Vanderbilt, and we covered.
Mm-hmm.
We both picked Ohio State -21 to cover against Maryland, and we both covered.
Mm-hmm.
We both picked Georgia -14.5 against Auburn. We both covered. We both picked Iowa -2 against Penn State. We both covered. The only different game we had last week is I took Oklahoma, you took Texas +3, and so I actually took that one, and I was 5 for 5, and I took a 1-point lead coming into this week.
I was so confident going into halftime. I was basically picking out jersey sizes and who I wanted. Like, I was so confident at halftime, and I should not have been surprised that Texas blew it. But yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy game, though. You could have known also that the quarterback was going to come in, the freshman quarterback was going to come in and take over.
Just light things up, too.
Yeah.
Not just take over, just throw unbelievable throws in the end zone. Just more of an unbelievable catch than an unbelievable throw.
Well, and then that crazy run at the end where it seemed like they were gonna maybe win by a field goal, and then it wouldn't matter. It would be just like, cool. And then they had that crazy play. And I had to text you because, like, did you see that? I mean, that was
I just couldn't believe it. I was in shock a little bit, like, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So I have a 1-point lead coming into this week. This week we have 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
We have number 20, Florida, going to LSU. They're giving LSU 10 points at home. Who do you have?
Florida.
I do as well. I don't trust Ed or anybody else at LSU at this point to be able to give me any reason to think that LSU is going to win this game. All right, next game, we have number 12, Oklahoma State, traveling to number 25, Texas. Texas getting 5.5 points at home.
Oklahoma State on that one.
I agree. I talk a lot of trash about this game against Texas, but I told you at the beginning of the year I had Oklahoma State ranked high, and they've been a sleeper this year. I don't.
I mean, they're ranked. What are they? They're 11th. They're 12th, aren't they? Right now.
They're 12th right now.
Yeah, they're still a good football team. It's crazy that people are giving Texas 5.5 against them.
I agree. I don't really understand the spread on that. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know either.
At home, I understand, but like 5.5 against a highly ranked team who's undefeated this year, it's a really strange spread to me. I couldn't justify going with Texas.
This is 2 or 3 times this year we've been like, what do they know that we don't? Like just really strange spreads on some of these. And
it hasn't worked out. Like the thing is, we've gone against them and we've won. So I don't understand where these spreads are coming from.
Yeah.
And then our number 3 game, we have number 11 Kentucky going to number 1 Georgia. Georgia at home getting 23.5.
I am going all road Warriors this week. Kentucky gonna keep it close.
Okay. I actually am going to take Georgia in this game.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't fully believe in Kentucky. I think Florida should have beaten Kentucky. I think that if we had played our top game, then we may have won by this spread. I think that's the difference in this game is we did not play well. Our defense did not play well. Our offensive line played awful. And Georgia's at home. They're not going to Kentucky with their 60,000, not really that loud fans where we get 8 false starts and just played terrible. I don't trust Georgia's quarterback. I told you that already.
Yeah.
I'm going to carry that for the rest of the season. But having said that, I expect Georgia to have the turnovers. I don't trust Kentucky's quarterback that much either. They're going to run the ball, but I expect Kentucky to absolutely dominate this game and win by 30.
Woof. I expect Kentucky to keep it close. I would love to see an upset this week. Not going to happen, but I'd love to see it.
Wow.
Yeah.
On the
Kentucky, yeah. 3 road Warriors. That's twice now this season. Didn't pay off the first time. We'll see if it pays off this time.
Man, it's going to be a good game.
It is. That's really the only game I'm looking forward to watching. Take or leave the other ones. Buckeyes sitting out this week, resting up, getting ready for Indiana, and Florida getting ready to take on Coach O and the LSU Tigers. It's going to be an okay weekend, mediocre weekend in college football, but I'm sure next week we'll have tons to talk about as there will probably be upsets and all that fun stuff. Tim, final thoughts? Anything you'd like to leave us with?
No, I just think, can I just do a public service announcement? Like, let's not schedule weddings or birthdays on college football days, because I have a birthday this weekend for my child, and it's during the Gator game. And
you scheduled this?
I didn't schedule it, but my wife did. So I was like, hey, just so you know, we're gonna have a Gator game on. She knew what time it started. And I was like, you realize I'm going to have the Gator game on during this? Like, I'll be nice to people, but I'm like, hey, my Gators are playing. So I don't know what's wrong with people. Like,
here's the thing. I had an idea to get Kara a jersey at the end of the season if you win, since she didn't get to go to the game or anything.
No.
But now that she's not showing me she's not a real fan.
No.
I'm not buying her anything.
She loves the team. She gets really upset when we lose. But at the end of the day, like, prioritize things. Her
priorities are not in line.
You think our 5-year-old is more important than the Gator game?
No. I don't even put it that far. Do you think that she couldn't do it Sunday after church or Friday, in the evening? Like, why does it have to be Saturday at all?
Yeah.
She knows what time of the year this is.
Right? Like, you don't do things on Saturdays. Like, that's just a rule.
Fall Saturdays are for
my child
football.
Has many birthdays still to come. The Gators also have many seasons yet to come. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I was trying something there and it didn't work.
No, here's where it goes, Tim. Your daughter has birthdays on – is it the same day on Saturday?
Her birthday was today.
Her birthday's today. Have the party today. Or even this, like on Sunday.
Yeah.
Why would she schedule it on Saturday? Your daughter.
You have 6 other days. That's what I should have said. Let's back up. I should have said you have 6 other days to have a birthday party. Like, why would you do it the same day the Gators are playing?
Right.
Please be sensitive about people. This is really important, guys. Like, be sensitive to the people around you. Like, even if you're not a huge sports fan, the people around you might be.
Yeah.
So be careful what you say. And careful when you schedule things. It's important.
That's important. Public announcement from the Tim and Shipe Show.
Yes.
All right. That's it for us. Give us a like, comment, follow on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Give us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify or something. We'd love to see it. Tell us how we're doing. But you don't have to. Just take care of yourselves. And we'll catch you next time.
And go Gators.